Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Very confusing title for a very good movie. See, this is not the second film to ever feature Mechagodzilla. It's actually the third. It's just that this is the second time Mechagodzilla has been introduced in a Godzilla series, and well, I can't say that I like this iteration of Mechagodzilla as much as the last one. I like this movie more than the last couple Mechagodzilla movies. And there's a couple of reasons for that. I'd say, first of all, this movie is highly entertaining, has one of the better plots of any of the Godzilla movies, with, first of all, Mechagodzilla's whole shtick in his initial introduction in the Showa series was that Mechagodzilla was just an evil doppelganger for Godzilla that was created by space aliens. Go figure. Well, this time around, Mechagodzilla was built by the humans that are trying to defend themselves from Godzilla. So the roles are reversed this time, and Godzilla's the bad guy, and Mechagodzilla's built to stop him. And the way this works out is really cool. Because, see, in the Heisei series, these movies kind of organically feed into one another, whereas the Showa series just kind of, like, you might see, like, a Mothra here or there. You might see Rodan come back every now and again, or Anguirus, which doesn't even make any sense because Anguirus died a long time ago. But in these movies, they build on each other in a way that's really cool, because where Mechagodzilla comes from in these movies is that Mecha Ghidorah, which was built in the future using future technology, they pick up the parts of the broken Mecha Ghidorah, they study the technology, they find out how it works, and they use that knowledge to build Mechagodzilla, to make something that is as powerful as a real kaiju, but it's man-made. And it's a really cool origin story, and I really like that about it. I don't like the design of Mechagodzilla that much. He doesn't look as evil or as, like, I don't know, he's just he's a little too, like, round and too just plain. He looks too much like a military-based weapon, which I know that's what he is, but I liked it better when he looked like a crazy mechanical evil robot monster, you know? I just liked it better when he more resembled a monster. He looked cool in the old movies. Also, not a fan of how now he shoots laser beams out his mouth instead of his eyes. I thought that was kind of a cool thing about the old Mechagodzilla, was that shooting the lasers out his eyes made him a little bit more distinct from the real Godzilla. But whatever, it's still cool, you know, they still have the beam struggle in this movie. They do it a couple more times, actually, because I guess they knew it was awesome when they did it in the first Mechagodzilla, so they brought that back. They both spit their mouth beams at each other, and it looks awesome. Oh yeah, this movie also reintroduces Rodan to the Heisei Godzilla films, and they do a really good job of that too. Rodan looks really cool, way cooler than he used to. He used to look like a dumb fuck. That's why I made his face the thumbnail of one of my videos, is because I just took like a screenshot of him going like, ah, because he just looked ridiculous. But now he actually looks pretty cool, which he has a fight scene with Godzilla near the beginning of the movie, and there's this fantastic sort of misdirect where there's this egg and you're like, oh, like Rodan's trying to protect his egg from Godzilla, but no, it's actually the opposite, because later in the film, this group of scientists, including Miki, the telepath, who's been in like each of these movies since Biolante, they're all trying to study this big ol' egg. They take the egg to their lab. They're like, oh, it's a pteranodon egg, and then it hatches and it's not a pteranodon, it's a baby Godzilla. And unlike the son of Godzilla from Son of Godzilla, this new son of Godzilla is a lot more palatable, I guess. It's a lot easier to take in because he doesn't look like a completely retarded, like, sock puppet with dumbass eyes that pop out of his head and has buck teeth. This baby Godzilla looks much more like a 90s sort of, like, silly baby dinosaur thing like you would see in a dinosaur. I'm not doing a good job of describing it. He still looks a little silly, but it's a huge leap from what came before. He looks a lot better. He's actually kind of cute in a way. He's not just this disgusting pile of shit that we had before. But yeah, Godzilla fights Rodan to protect his egg, and that fight was like kind of half and half for me. The first half of the fight felt very reminiscent of Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, with the giant condor that just comes out of nowhere, and they have one of the worst fights in the entire franchise where the camera's just up close to their faces and you can't tell what the hell's going on. And the Godzilla vs. Rodan fight in this movie starts out like that, but it gets better because there's a pretty sweet moment where Rodan is just pecking the shit out of Godzilla's face, like going for his eyes and stuff, and then Godzilla, like, with both hands grabs Rodan by the neck and chokes the fuck out of him and gets him all like, get the fuck off me. That part was great. But, yeah, outside of that, there's also a couple of good fights with Mechagodzilla. Mechagodzilla fights Rodan himself at one point, and he just wrecks the shit out of Rodan. Rodan's beaten to, like, near death by the end of it, which Rodan seems to have some new powers in this. I didn't know he could, like, shoot fire beams out of his mouth before. I don't know if he could do that in the old movies, but he does in this, and it looks good. But yeah, he loses horribly to Mechagodzilla, so then Godzilla himself shows up to the fight, and Godzilla also gets his shit wrecked pretty badly the first time he fights Mechagodzilla. Like, because they've captured this baby Godzilla and they studied its physiology, they find out things about how Godzilla's body works so that they can use their technology, they can adapt it to take down Godzilla. Because they find out he actually has a second brain at the base of his spine, like where his tail begins and his ass ends, he has another brain down there. So they're deciding to aim their weapons at his spinal brain so that they can disable the lower half of his body so he won't be able to destroy things ever again. Which is a pretty cool twist. I kind of like that. It's weird. Just it's out there, but it's interesting. I've never seen anything like that before. So yeah, they shoot these little anchor doohickeys into Godzilla's body, and the Mechagodzilla electrocutes the shit out of him, but then Godzilla somehow uses his power to reverse the gas and send the electricity back through to the source, and it disables the Mechagodzilla, and the people inside of it are like, oh fuck, and Godzilla knocks it down. It's pretty great. But of course, there's another fight that happens later on in the movie. This one feels like it has a lot of action. Like, this movie felt like it was just non-stop action on top of having a very entertaining plot. So this is definitely one of the better movies. I don't know if I definitely don't like it quite as much as Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, but it's close. Like, it's like up there. Yeah, I mean, oh boy, what else even is there for me to say about it? I don't even know. It's just a good-ass movie. I am struggling to remember how it ended for some reason. I always forget the endings of these movies. I don't know. It just feels like there's a really cool, just organic flow from film to film. Like, in the Return of Godzilla, they had this big flying machine they called the Super X, and then the following movie they have the Super X2, that's like a more souped up version of that. And then in the next movie they've got, like Mecha Ghidorah, and then that leads to Mecha Godzilla, and it's just one thing flows into the next, and it's a really cool thing they got going on for this ongoing narrative. I know it doesn't last that much longer because there's there's two more movies before this series ends, which is a little sad because this is like they had a really good thing going here, but hopefully it ends on a high note. I guess we'll have to wait and see.